What's up, everybody? A Sparrow with a Gun here from Sleepless Nights with another episode on the Space Engineers Inspiration series. I wanted to start things off today with a little bit of a preface type of thing. I have still been playing around with my audio settings because I noticed in my last Let's Play I had to really adjust the sound of the game a lot because the tires and stuff when I was driving or drilling or anything were really loud and it kind of overpowered, but in some places I seemed like I was really loud, so I'm still playing around with it and I still would like people's feedback. To compensate, I turned my mic down just a hair, but I also turned the game sounds down quite a bit, so if you notice that like footsteps and other idle sounds are very light, that's probably why, because there's a lot of hums, as you can kind of hear, and the refineries and things like that, as well as when you're drilling, that it's like the footstep things are really quiet, but the mechanical stuff is really loud. So I was kind of going off the loudest point and then lowered it from there. So just keep that in mind, and if there's anything that stands out to you as it being, it either sounds fine or it's, too drastic or whatever, just let me know. I just wanted to preface that in case anything sounded off. But today, let's go ahead and start off with our first build of the day, which is the Akira class starship. I think it's not an Enterprise, but it is a Star Trek build type of thing. Now, all of these in this episode, I believe, are modless to the best of my knowledge. If that's incorrect, I will let you know. But I don't have any mods installed in this world. So the fact that I pasted it in without errors tells me at least this build so far is modless. However, I do think a couple of them, or if not all three of them, require some of the new DLC decorative packs and things, so bear that in mind. One thing I wanted to point out about this is this caught my eye. Again, it is making use of the decorative pack, so it's something you have to keep in mind. But I was looking at the build screenshots, and I was kind of going, wait a minute, they said this was modless. How did they get letters in here? And they actually did something really cool. I don't know if the transparent LCDs are part of the DLC packs or not, or if they just came in an update. But this is a really, really cool idea for putting letters on your ships and keeping things vanilla, is to put transparent LCD screens where you would normally put blocks, and then put these, like, you can customize the letters. You could even do letters and numbers in Photoshop or GIMP or something if you wanted to make custom looks, and then load them in as textures, which I'm kind of guessing is how this is done. Although they could all be set to the same font setting and things, and they're just typed as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. It looks like it's being done through a script, so I'm guessing it's probably an image, I would imagine. No, I don't see any selected textures, so it's either being handled through a script, and the script is dictating the textures, or it's been typed in using, and the effects and everything are customized using a script. Either way, it's a really neat vanilla alternative, or mostly vanilla. As long as the LCDs aren't in one of the DLC packs, it's still considered vanilla, but you get the point. Base game, I'll put it that way. If it's included in one of the updates, then that would be a really slick base game way of adding letters and writing on your ships. So that really caught my eye, outside of the general just cool look of the ship. I'm always impressed when people can replicate builds using vanilla blocks. That's always intriguing to me. This is a cool effect as well, being that, for those of you that may or may not be aware, typical Star Trek nacelle engines, which is usually what they use for warp, have a blue tint most of the time to the color. But instead of doing like solid LCD panels or something to get a blue glow, they actually put the thrusters, the ion thrusters, in here so that when you're moving the ship, it'll give a blue, and then they painted it blue anyway. So that's pretty cool. That's a neat effect. It's an interesting way of doing something that is fairly typical of the designs of the ships. Because like this, you could have done it with interior lights, or one of my favorites is using LCD screens and then colorizing them. That I think is probably my favorite look. But this is a cool functional look. Like, you're actually putting the real thrusters of the ship in there, which is pretty neat. I like that. Yeah, so overall, I'm really impressed with the design in terms of how accurate it kind of looks to the way this ship really would look in the series kind of thing, without the need for modded blocks and things like that. The description did... That is glass. That is glass. Dag nabbit. I always walk on glass everywhere. When people don't put the... well, I guess maybe that even could be the tinted side, but when people don't put the tinted side out, man, I walk right into it. I'm like one of those dogs you see on YouTube that just runs into a sliding glass door. It's like, oh look, it's open. Anyway, this is probably where you're supposed to go. Let's turn our lamps off for a minute. Now again, I do believe this uses the decorative DLC, and so with that, I'm assuming some of the interiors will look a little bit better than your standard vanilla fanfare. Stuff like this works really well. I think it looks good. I don't actually know. I'm not quite a big enough Trekkie fan to know if we've actually ever seen the interior of one of these ships in the shows before, so it's a little hard to judge the accuracy of the interior, though I personally, when it comes to builds like this, don't mind some liberties being taken with the interior. By the way, we have a cool front hangar here for probably looks like 2 fighters, drones, whatever. And you've got this cool overlook. I do always love a glass overlook. I don't really mind it as much when people take liberties with the interiors as much as the exteriors. If the interior looks pretty similar to the original ship design, then I'm pretty good with if you move things around, because some things, this is our bridge here, some things you have to, because it is Space Engineers, it's not Star Trek and it's not Star Wars and all those other games and series and whatnot. So sometimes you need functions that you just, you wouldn't have if you didn't mix it up a little bit. So there's that. Though I will give credit where credit's due. There are quite a few builders that will really actually do a lot of meticulous interior design to try and keep it as closely accurate as they can. So, overall, I like the architecture, like these, indentions and crevices and things. I do think it gives a little bit more character to the build. I would probably say I probably wouldn't mind a little bit more color here and there, as I speak the devil. I swear I didn't time that on purpose. I've never walked through this ship before. That was kind of hilarious. I would like a little color. Red. There's color. Although, again, in all fairness, it's not exactly as though the interior of Star Trek ships were known for being the most colorful and decorative and all that kind of stuff. I mean, some of it was until recently. With some of the newer shows, a lot of the shows are dated now. Even stuff like Voyager and Enterprise and all those that were like the latest ones before we got into this newer era kind of thing. And a lot of them, between costume designs, set designs, all that stuff, budget, a lot of them ended up being relatively simple. It was do a lot with a little kind of thing. Here's where we were walking all over the glass. This honestly would concern me a little bit in, not necessarily in Star Trek verse, but just in general. If I was sleeping right next to a glass window pane in space and there was no, bulkhead or blast door that could seal it or something, I'd be a little concerned. This is a little concerning. So this is our med bay, apparently. So, yeah. It's interesting, but yeah, it's one of those where I'm never really sure with stuff like this, is some of the lack of detail and stuff on purpose because the original ship isn't all that detailed, or is it a builder choice preference thing or whatnot kind of thing. I'm guessing this is like a commons area, because I don't see a bed or anything, so it's not like a captain's area, I don't think. Speaking of, where is the captain's cabin? I guess this could be, some of these could be ones. It wasn't exactly like in Federation ships, the cabins for even captains were like gigantic or anything. But yeah, so let's see if we can make our way back to the bridge. I'm going to do my darndest not to have another 40-minute episode this this time. I was appreciative of a couple of people that commented and said that it wouldn't matter. They just enjoy the episodes, which is really awesome. But it matters to me. So we've got our rocket launchers, I believe, out the front. I think they are right there on that top back. There they are. So I guess not really the front, but they're facing the front. We got a camera view, the hangars doors for the front fighter bays, beacon, jump drive, etc. So relatively simple controls, nothing too complicated. Let's give it a test to see how it actually flies. So obviously this is using, from what I can see, purely ion thrusters, which I don't know if that's a completely aesthetic choice or if there's any other reasons behind that. Obviously aesthetically it makes more sense because it's all blue thrusters. Acceleration's not actually bad considering that it does only operate with ions, which are not the strongest thrusters, so that's pretty impressive. And turning and stuff is actually really good. I could actually see using this in some kind of small skirmish. I don't know that I want to go up against a lot of little fighters. You've got, it looks like about 6 turrets on the top that are chain gun turrets. Probably a similar number on the bottom. I can't really quite see in the dark here. Let's roll her over. I see, okay, there's 4 there, and 2, so actually, there's probably about 7 on the bottom, and there's a missile turret in the middle. So it's got a decent all-around defense, as far as every direction's kind of covered. Oh, there's another turret on top I missed, so that's 8. So, yeah, it's pretty good in terms of defenses and things, and then you've got your rockets, or torpedoes, out the front for doing your heavy damage. But so yeah, it would probably hold up fairly well. It did say it was probably survival ready but untested, so that's interesting. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this one. Let's move on to the next one. Alright, so next up we have the Montressor Spaceport, I believe is the name of it, although in the description it mentions it being the Crescentia from Treasure Planet. Now, this is a relatively interesting build for me, as I've heard a great deal about that movie, and I can't say that I've actually ever seen it. So this is pretty much just a cool aesthetic, caught my eye kind of thing, not in any terms of nostalgia or anything like that. A couple of things that I want to note from the description is that at the moment it is purely a creative build, as it was designed originally as a survival spaceport. However, the conveyors were never properly connected according to the description. And it does have thrusters on it to where it can be moved with a great deal of effort, if the description is to be believed. However, I have pasted this one in as a static station, just because I wasn't aware it could be moved and it said station. So I won't actually be able to fly it, although it didn't sound like it's really primarily designed to be flown. Now, what I find interesting about builds like this is obviously from a distance and things, it's a, you know, kind of a crescent moon shape, which makes sense. But what I think is interesting about this stuff is how you have these buildings that are along here, but the gravity shifts so that no one actually feels like they're, you know, standing at an angle or something, which I always find intriguing, not only just in terms of design, because this looks cool. Like, check that out. That's pretty neat. You've got, you know, your little shops and buildings and stuff, and you got, like, a little couch. You can just, like, I'm just gonna sit here, and I can't zoom in, apparently, but I'm just gonna sit here and chill completely exposed out in space, which is really kind of crazy. But yeah, supposedly the gravity and everything is hooked up properly to where you'll actually be able, all the different sections actually have the correct gravity orientation to where they're not, you're not like this kind of looks like it's at an angle, but then as you move through them, you end up being able to adjust, which I think that's really cool. I don't know how long that probably took, because I imagine, I'm no gravity generator expert, but I imagine it would have taken quite a bit of time. Now, the only thing with this that I don't know is I'm not sure if there's anything to really see outside of the general area that we're looking at. I don't think there's really access to any kind of guts or any reason to anything to access anything like that, the inner workings of the station or anything of that nature. So it seems a bit more as a what you see is what you get kind of thing. Yeah, see, like that. That's really cool. That's really neat. From here, you're basically in one angle. Now, I guess one thing I want to see, because this is intriguing to me, I love gravity stuff. So we have artificial gravity here. Right here we do not. And then right here we do. So I imagine this looks difficult, but what's probably going on is each module, each section has gravity up to like this last block. And then the gravity stops about here. Your mag boots kick in because you're in zero gravity. You snap to the next thing, and then the gravity of the next place kicks in. So you don't have to do any kind of bendy gravity thing, which is ideal. That's probably the easiest way you could have done that without a migraine of a headache trying to get all that to work. So that's a pretty cool, quick little trick if you were wanting to do something similar, had an idea for a curved arced kind of station or ship. That would be kind of a neat way to execute that. Now, it seems, again, you'll have to forgive me because I don't actually know the ship's purpose or station's purpose in the movie that it's from, because I haven't actually seen it. So you'll have to bear with me and forgive my ignorance in that regard if you're a big fan of it or something, but it seems like this is mainly residential. And this is the thing, I never know, like I mentioned about the Star Trek ship before, I never know how much of something is compromised because of the functionality of space engineers or how much of it is a replication of whatever the source material is it's referencing. So it's like this. If this is just a residential colony spaceship thing or space station, that makes perfect sense. But if it's one of those where it's supposed to be kind of like a port with a town and all this kind of stuff, then it's one of those, do you not do some of those things because the game doesn't support it as easily or not? And so that's what I was meaning by sometimes it can be difficult to tell what the reasoning behind a decision was, because I'm noticing a lot of these all have kind of an apartment feel kind of thing. They all have like the beds and the what are these technically called? Armory lockers. I was gonna say like a closet or something, or suit rack or something, but I guess they're called lockers. And then a desk and a window and stuff. So it's like they all kind of seem to have that. So for me, I don't know if that is, again, kind of like, well, the original station in the movie is kind of like an apartment thing, or if that's just, randomly populating the stuff, making blocks useful. Because like this could be a shop too, or something. You've got these blocks and this, and we have shower blocks and things. So if this was supposed to be a shower, I don't know why it wouldn't be. So maybe this is some kind of, dressing room, if it's a fashion, you know what I mean? So that's the only thing I'm not sure about, is how much of this is supposed to be something that I'm not seeing, or how much of it is actually just what it is, that it's all like a residential area. Either way, it's still really cool. This ship is a very, very large ship, or station. It's not really a ship, I guess. It's still a huge undertaking, and the attention to detail is really cool that each one of these buildings actually has an interior. which is not something that you always see. We've seen it in other builds before where people leave the rooms blank and stuff. So just going through and adding an interior to all of this had to have taken a ton of work, out alone building the actual frame of it itself. Now I did want to see what this middle one is, because it does look unique to the rest of the building lot designs kind of thing. Okay, so this kind of looks more like your trade center port type thing. We've got a couple of stores, some seats here. What is that? Okay, that's a flight seat. So what is this supposed to be exactly in this context? It's just a control seat. So I don't know if that's actually supposed to be like the main control of the station, or if that's like, I don't really know what that's for actually. Because this almost looks like a trade center or a shop, not kiosk, what am I looking for? A bazaar, I think, is what I'm thinking of. Or like some kind of airport or traffic control kind of thing. So it's like, I don't really know what that flight seat in the middle is for. But yeah, so like I said, I'm also fairly ignorant about the purpose and design of the original source material ship as well. Station. I keep saying ship. Anyways, I have a feeling that most of this will look fairly similar in that they probably mirrored one side to the other. So we're not going to go through all of it, but it's a really cool, even just from a building feat, this had to have taken a lot of time to build, so just building it is cool, even if you had, like, I don't normally design things myself, I just copied what I saw. That's still crazy to do a build like this. I mean, I have a hard time building a fighter, so so yeah, but overall, I think it's really, really neat. I love this kind of halo arced curved colony concept kind of thing. I've always thought that was cool, even in like the Gundam series where they had, you know, cylindrical colonies, and I've always thought that was a really neat sci-fi effect. So yeah, I'm really impressed with it. I really like it. So with that, I think that's going to do it for this one. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, now here is an interesting ship for multiple reasons. Well, I say ship. This is another one of those ship station things, I'm pretty sure. Now, I have to preface this one as well that this is the Babylon 6, which according to the description is an interesting idea because according to the description, it's a concept of a continuation off of Babylon 5. Why I say that's interesting is because most of these ships that are based on a series are usually they're either reimagined ships we've seen before, or they are one-to-one builds like we saw with the Akira class from Star Trek and stuff. However, this is actually kind of one of those, it's probably a mainly original design, but it's based on the concept of if there was another station. So that's intriguing to me, that it's not just a copy and paste of another design, but it's still based on existing materials and things. Now, I'm probably gonna get hammered pretty hard about this one too, but I've never actually seen the Babylon series, like Babylon 5 and stuff. Anyway, moving right along. So that's another one of those, if I miss anything that's super important, nostalgic, or relevant, that's probably why. The other thing that I think also already makes this ship very cool, or station, or whatever it is spinny things. We all know, and if any of you who have seen more than 5 episodes of my Inspiration series, how much I like glass and spinny things in space. Meet big spinny thing. I thought at first I pasted it in with momentum, and that's why it was spinning, but it's been sitting here for a while, and it's still spinning, so I think it's actually just designed to have a low spin. Now, this would make sense with the concept of if it's supposed to be a station. Typically in sci-fi, we speculate that if we had something spinning, it would create artificial gravity. So I'm imagining this was designed with that in mind so that it actually would theoretically be generating its own gravity, which is really cool in a game that has an artificial gravity block, because essentially, if the builder wanted to, I don't know if they have or not, but you could hide all the gravity blocks and just say it's the rotation that's causing gravity. So it's a neat idea that is often kind of debated in science and in real life on whether or not that would work. And it's a cool idea to actually build the aesthetic into the game, even if it's not functional by the game standards. Also, cool use of these wing things to give them solar panels so that it'll like help charge the ship or station. Dagnabbit, I don't know what you call a ship station hybrid. What is a mobile space station? That's I need a name for it, people. Where it's becoming more common, apparently. I've had like 2 of them in one video. Alright, now, not because I am door challenged or anything, but simply because this is an unorthodox design. I'm not entirely sure where you enter from. I mean, there's always these hangar doors if they have external access, but if they have to be opened from the docking bay, then that's not going to work. I did see one down here that we're going to try, but it's got a control panel, so I'm hoping... Okay. I think that's... Ooh! It does have gravity. Alright. So apparently it's this way. Is the top? I really had a difficult time with which part was the top and the bottom of the ship. I kind of went off the screenshots, which had it sort of this way, so I went with it. But when you got these more rounded type designs and things, yeah, it's not always easy to figure out which way they're supposed to go. Now, one other very important thing that I need to note before we get too far into this is in the description, this ship station... I don't know. I'm trying here. Is listed as a work in progress. There's a few other things that are still left to do, much like there was supposed to be a script control for interior lights and things. Speaking of which, I'll turn my lamps off so we can see what it actually should look like. So I don't think the interiors are finished. It mentioned doing the interiors for like the rooms, and there should be a marketplace in the station somewhere. So yeah, bear that in mind if we run into areas where it looks a little open or bland or something, like there's a lot of room but not a lot done with it. It is still considered a work in progress, so I would imagine that the interiors are not completed. What? Okay, now that's really cool. That's... Wow, that's trippy. That's really weird. Okay, so this is up. I love space. Space is cool. Space is one of the only places I know of where up can be whatever face or whatever direction you're looking up at. That's so cool. Oh! Up is changing again. Oh, we're on a spinny thing. Alright, I don't know. Okay, so this has to be, or rather, we're probably not on the spinny thing. That's the spinny thing. Okay. So this is the... Oh, that's cool. There's actually a platform. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. There's a platform here that I'm guessing... Yep, you've got your own gravity here, and it transitions to the middle section. Would you look at that? So this also has the colony idea. Now, grant you, again... work in progress. So this is paint at the moment. I'm thinking paint or skins or something, as kind of a lay of the land of where everything would be laid out as. I'm assuming, I'm interpreting, because I've seen stuff, as I mentioned before, like in Gundam and other things. I'm also guessing this is supposed to be a railway, which is super cool. Basically what I'm getting at is this ship, or this thing, because I don't have a word for it yet, we're going to make one up, is going to be really cool when it's done, because you got this whole, like, colony set up, and things inside the ship. It's got a cool exterior look, and you've got what I'm assuming is a railway for a tram or something, which is cool. Like, there's just a lot in this that's really, really neat, and it makes me feel bad about when I build a base, and it's basically a floating Minecraft box with stuff inside. And then I see people doing this, and I go, yeah, I program stuff. I'm not that great at building stuff. Let's see. I hit this button. Oh, activation failed. Okay, so someone actually me-proofed this, which is probably a good thing, and is not allowing me to access that button for probably good reasons, because it would probably blow something up. I'm almost wondering if there's some kind of connection point that has to line up, maybe, since this is rotating. I'm wondering if the... Ooh. Now this is cool. We've got a couple fighters and a lot of... Wow, this... Okay, credit where credit's due. The builder of this definitely has a firm grasp on directional orientation, because, good lord, there's doors this way, there's doors that way, there's stuff on the ceilings and the floor, but then the ceilings and the floor spin... Like, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, that's not easy to build and design that way. Our brains don't normally like working in that many dimensions. We typically, that's why I think most of spaceships are designed with a flat, horizontal ship, like a boat kind of design, because we've already designed that and we understand the physics behind it and how it works. So when we get out into space, we just do the same thing. So credit to the builder for, ooh, although the gravity could be a little more nicer, but I don't have too much of a problem there, because gravity can be finicky to work with too. Okay, so I don't know if we're back where we started from, or I don't think maybe we are? I was gonna say, I don't know if this is just another one or not. Yep, we were back where we started from. Okay, I did a loop and went down. Alright. Like I said, it can get confusing when things is not forward, backward, up, right, down kind of thing. But, there's the tram. Alright, cool. And I guess I'm gonna flip, aren't I? Oh, no, maybe I'm not. I'll flip myself. Thank you very much. See, like this is on the ceiling from where I came out from, but you're standing on the... This is cool. I am not going to lie. This is cool. But I have to give... My hat has to come off to the builder, because it's hard enough to design a really cool looking ship when you're building in regular dimensions and terms, but when you have to start thinking about, okay, that's this, what do I put on the ceiling? It's not that it can't be done, but you really have to think about it. It doesn't usually just come naturally. Some people it does, but it doesn't normally just naturally click with you that, oh, if this is the floor, let's put the kitchen on the wall and let's put the hanger up on the ceiling. That would work, because you gotta remember to figure out how gravity would work and all that. It's just like, it's a lot harder in my opinion. That could just be my opinion, I don't know. Again, it's not really a complaint to the builder, it's more the maglock things get very disorienting because of how drastic they jump. I want to try this train thing out, though. How does this work? I'm going to break something, by the way. Alright, so... doors. And it's rotating, by the way. I forgot to mention that part. You got different orientations of direction, but then it's also rotating while you're doing that too. So that's cool. Alright, what are we doing? Ion thrusters, doors. Let's do that first. Connector for the tram. It's locked at the moment, probably holding it in place. Remote control. Okay. Didn't know that was an option. Camera, antenna, hangar door A and B. That could be an airlock system. Not really sure, since this doesn't seem to be opening. Oh, you dummy. That's the... Woo, that didn't work. Yeah, that's those doors. Alright, Alright, let's try that. Now what I'm wondering is, I keep trying to go to third person view and it's just showing me the whole ship. What I don't know is, oh, I'm on a connector. Alright. I'll figure it out, I'm just trying not to die. Let's go ahead and turn the connector off so it doesn't grab anything. That's cool. Okay, and then, oh no. I boo-booed. Because now I can't open the other doors. Alright, so I'm guessing those wheels on the front there are... Let's go ahead and grab this. Yeah, to do that, basically. So that you don't damage anything, which is really good and very smart. How do I don't know. I don't know where the connector is. Crap. Okay, I passed the connector a little bit. See, this is why I wanted third-person view, is so I could see what I was doing. Whoop. Okay, so I don't need... I thought they designed a HUD thing. There we go. Okay, so that's that. So we were locked back in. The doors are back up. Let's go ahead and open that set of doors. I didn't really think about the doors being disabled once I disconnected from the connector. Oh, crap. I just realized we're almost at 40 minutes again. Alright, so we're gonna run this real quick. Just because I wanted to see... I'm really bad with wheel-based machines. Trams, trains, cars, all that stuff. Spaceships I've got a pretty good handle on how to build and what they need to fly and won't blow themselves up. But I'm always looking for newer ways of doing railed and ground vehicles. I'm going pretty fast, and I'm very impressed that that didn't, like, blow anything up. I'm not sure you're supposed to be going that fast, but it's still pretty cool. Alright, now I'm actually going to leave it there and definitely try and break things, because I want to see the wheels set up. So, this is pretty interesting. They've got the wheels down here and then wheels on the side. Basically everything's just buffering so that you don't damage anything. And these are holding it to the track. And then the thrusters are essentially pushing it. So I'm guessing that these wheels are set to not be driven, kind of thing. Like they're not steering or anything, and they're probably set to where they just kind of act as a buffer. Really, really neat idea. Really like this ship a lot. Can't wait to see how it actually looks, and I would totally come back and revisit this when it's not a work in progress anymore and see what's changed in things. But as big as this thing is, I might have to end up doing a whole episode on it once it's done, because this is just crazy. Anyway, with that, we're going to wrap things up here. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like, and I will see you all next time. Peace.